Yo, what's up, everybody? It's DFsDudes from DFSCheatSheet.com. I've got our NFL guys here. We're pumped. We finally got a live event in the sports world. It's the NFL draft. Anything's possible tonight, other than the fact that the one lock is most likely Joe Burrow going number one overall. We've got a ton of NFL content up right now. We've had a ton of NFL content up for the last month to preview the draft. We've got all kinds of player rankings for fantasy picks for every kind of draft you want to get into, for every which way you want to break down year-long leagues right now. Chris has been knocking that stuff out, and so have these guys. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about what we got going on, then we'll get into breaking down what we think is going to happen tonight with the draft.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for having me. Hey, Ben, David, we're here tonight, just like a little pre-draft kind of party thing. And I know I shouldn't say this, but there's a lot of other, podcasts, live videos, the hot shots on other networks are doing it. We're just four dudes that like football. We like giving our opinion. We're not rude to each other. We like having a great time. So I hope that you come in, you hang with us, and we'll have a good time. So I wanted to get to both David and Ben. They published a mock draft today. I believe, David, that was your 7th mock draft of the season. And Ben, it was his 3rd mock draft of the year. And that's to go along with Ben's rookie profiles, all David's deep dives at all the rookie positions. It's just been fantastic and phenomenal. So I don't think it would make much sense for us to go live tonight, without these guys. So David, if you want, say hi, and we'll go from there. It's not a game show. You don't have to tell us where you're from and who you're playing for, but just give us a quick update on your most recent mock article.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you guys for having me. And it's been a crazy rumors and everything to make this final mock draft. Like I said before we hopped on the show, I would be happy if I can get 5 of these picks right. It seems pretty set in stone. The first 2 picks I think we all have are Burrow to the Bengals and Chase Young to Washington. For me personally, I think Miami is going to stay at 5, take Tua. I think Chargers will take Herbert at 6. An interesting pick that I had in my most recent mock here is I have Cleveland at 10 taking Isaiah Simmons. I went off the rumor that they are trying to trade for Trent Williams from Washington. It might not happen tonight. It might happen tomorrow. They're saying it's going to involve maybe a day 2 pick. If that happens, that shores up their left tackle spot, allows them to address another need with linebacker. A couple other interesting picks I had Lamb going to the Raiders, Ruggs to the 49ers. Only my thinking on that is they got beat by Tyreek Hill. Why not get your own version of Tyreek Hill? Judy to the Broncos. Eagles getting Justin Jefferson, which is a pretty popular pick. And I don't have the Chiefs taking running back in the first round.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Ben, how does your mock compare to David's? Because I know yours got a little bit juicy with the trade and the trading scenarios, which I love. It's either go bold or go home. Because as I said the day before with the prop bets, you can bet the first 3 picks 1, 2, 3. Burrow, Chase, and Okudah. But who knows what's going to happen after that? Who knows if the Lions are going to trade out, which I hope they do. But compared to David's mock article, what did yours look like?
Well, we were talking about some of it last night, but obviously, the first couple of picks, we're pretty much set in stone unless something happens, with Washington. But Burrows, Chase Young. At pick 3, I've actually got Detroit trading back with Miami. I've got Miami jumping up and taking Justin Herbert, not taking Tua. I also have Detroit taking 2 first-round picks and then trading back. Giants, we talked about last night, Mekhi Becton. Detroit still gets the guy they wanted, and Jeffrey Okudah, if that's what they wanted to do. And then I've actually got the Chargers, who I don't think is going to take Jordan, or I don't think is going to take Tua either. I haven't seen him taking Jordan Love right here. So there's some similarities.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's like Chris was saying, this a lot of juicy stuff right here. I've actually got Tua falling all the way down to pick 14 to Tampa Bay. And that's where I have New England trading up with Tampa and taking Tua.
Oh, that's interesting. I like it.
I mean, it's set up too perfect, I would think.
So the thing is, right, is that you guys do so much work and so much hard work, and these take so long to write. And then we get to a day like today where you're working on your last version of it. And then you've got to kind of put blinders on and put the article out that you want to write, and then, not pay attention to all the shit that's going on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
12 minutes ago, we just get a tweet from Schefter saying San Francisco is most likely going to move the 13th pick. That would throw a monkey wrench into everything, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely would.
You were big. You said last night that there was no doubt that they're not going to grab CD or Judy there. Yeah, so who knows what they're thinking. And then just as we're talking, I pull up another website, and the headline has to do with my Detroit Lions trading with Jacksonville, because they're so excited about getting into our third pick. So let me play out this scenario and humor me for a minute. So I've said it till I've been blue in the face. Lions have the third overall pick. Jacksonville has 9 and 20, correct, guys?
Yes.
So they've already been looking to shop around Fournette. Their edge rusher, Yannick, I don't know how to say his last name, Nabukie. He wants out. Did you see that war of words with Yannick and the owner the other day? So as it stands now, I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen, but that's why we're here. We can talk about it. We can kid around with it. Ethan's here. Sorry, I didn't see that you were here, Ethan. But what if they swap, Detroit and Jacksonville? Jacksonville gives us like pick 9 and 20. We give them 3. But what if you throw out something like Lions give 3 and we get either 9 or 20, and then a combination of Fournette or Yannick, and then let's say I noticed in David and Ben, both of your mock drafts, you have those 2 edge rushing studs going later in the first round, AJ Espinenza and Gross Matos. And a few of the mocks that I've seen, we have the Lions picking one of those 2 dudes. But what if they can save a pick up Yannick and switch picks here? So it's going to be a wild evening, just some wildness that just hit off the top of my head here.
So I'll tell you this. Go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, well, if Yannick Ngakoue does go to Detroit, you're going to need to learn how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah. Across that bridge when I come to it. I'd rather pronounce Fournette.
I'll say this. As much last night as adamant as I was about how much sense it did not make for Detroit to take that corner in that spot with what they needed and the ability for them to move back and get needs, it would make a lot of sense for Jacksonville to move up to take Okudah at that spot. Jacksonville, look, we know who they lost, right? They lose Jalen Ramsey. So it would make sense for them to go up and try to replace that. And then if they're able to move off of, like you said, move off of a player as well to do it, I don't know. To me, it would make a lot of sense for Jacksonville to make that pick for that player. It still makes no sense to me for Detroit to make that pick for that player.
Jacksonville can still sit at 9 and take Henderson, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Like what's the case that the Dolphins, they pass on Tua and they get an offensive tackle at 5, and then they're able to wait until later in the first round to take their quarterback, right?
That's definitely possible. But with the way the quarterback is, you got to get your guy early. It's too much of a gamble because they're sitting at 18, I believe it is right now. I mean, Love could be there if they do love. Is he going to be there? How Ben has him up at 4, or he has him getting taken earlier, but it's still a gamble not to take your guy early on. So who is it? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. But I feel like they have to take them in the top 5.
Ben, I want you to do me a favor. Go over that scenario again in your mock that had the Chargers. Did it have the Chargers taking Love?
Yes.
So
yeah,
give me that scenario again, because I had a question for you about that.
Okay. So I've got, like I said, Miami jumping up to take Tua, or not Tua, but Justin Herbert. And then I've got the Chargers staying put and taking Jordan Love right there at 6. So basically the mindset was Jordan Love plays very similar to a guy who's already there in LA. I think he could sit there and play and not have to do much behind Tyrod Taylor. They're very similar in play, but I think Love is a lot more effective, a lot more elusive, a lot more he's got a better arm. He can do a lot more things, but it gives him time to sit back and just learn. The best thing for Love to do is to get drafted to a team where he doesn't have to worry about being thrust into a situation. Somebody like New Orleans, someone like Green Bay. I don't think he would do very good in New England because in 2 games, they may be calling for Love to hurry up and get put out there. In a situation for Jordan Love, you really want him to sit there behind someone where he can sit there for 6 or 7, 8 games, maybe even a whole year.
1 second, guys. Our co-founder is going to join us. I'm going to let him in right now.
Perfect.
He comes in loud, so I didn't, I want to let you finish before I let him in.
Yeah.
There he is. RotoBeast is in the house.
I'm bummed out he wasn't able to make it into the into our mock draft the other day. Stefan, what's going on, guy?
He probably got to figure out how to work the volume.
Okay.
Anyway, so my question to you is this. That is, I mean, that's a reach though, right? I mean, is that just so if that scenario were to play out, because I think what that is based off of that whole domino effect would have to start with the trade to move ahead for Miami to move ahead to take Herbert. And that would take the guy the Chargers want off the board, which would start the tumble effect on Tua, right?
Yes.
If you're San Diego, do you trade back? Because you don't have to take – I mean, Love's going to be there. Would you agree, Love? If Tua starts to tumble, Love's probably going to be there. If you're San Diego and you say, okay, you see this happen, do you trade back? Do you trade back and say, look, we're going to take a quarterback, the guy we wanted, we just got leapfrogged for. We're not sold on Tua. We're going to move – maybe we can grab another pick here in the first round and move back.
But then you're looking at the question.
Maybe you make a deal with Jacksonville, right? Or maybe you make a deal with a team who's got multiple picks in the first round. I mean, I think that you talk about a team to me, like if your scenario plays out, when you were laying that out, I was like, whoa, that's interesting because I could totally see it playing out. I don't think Miami's sold on Tua. And to me, if I'm a general manager and I'm going to get fired one way or the other at some point, I'm going to take Herbert. I think Tua is a great player. He's a great college player. I don't want the arthritis situation. That's what my legacy and my tenure in an organization is just attached to something, like no pun intended, but you're attached at the hip, literally, right? With Tua. So
With screws, right? I mean, 5 surgeries. There's going to be some arthritis that's going to at some point, right? So if you're San Diego, if you're Los Angeles, the Chargers, do you have to take that pick right there? Do you move back? Well, it just depends. If you decide you really like Love, you have to be certain that Las Vegas isn't going to take him at 12. You have to be certain that Tampa Bay could still take him. Brady's 43 years old. You have to be certain that Jacksonville won't take him further down. If you're LA, the Chargers, I think if that's your guy, you take him.
Yeah, it's just an interesting scenario because the first half of that domino effect, I can totally see happening. I can totally see the trade to move up and get Herbert. I can totally see that scenario happening. But man, taking Love in that spot to me just seems like I'm overpaying for a guy. I mean, but then again, you're taking your franchise quarterback, so I guess that 6 slotted the pay amount for that slot. It's your franchise quarterback. I mean, I guess you can justify it. So that's an interesting scenario, though.
No, and it absolutely is. It's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's probably not playing out this way. We don't know what it's going to play out. This is just a scenario I thought of. Oh, I would love for it to. If Miami jumps up and they take Herbert, everybody and their mother is going to be screaming or trying to jump back into that top 10 for Tua. And if he continues to fall, and I'm not 100% sure if he falls, Jacksonville doesn't take him. Jacksonville loves trading up in the draft. They love jumping up and taking the guy who falls. I mean, they've got
picks. They've got picks.
They got plenty of picks. I mean,
they've got picks.
Minshew was a 5th or 6th round pick last year. They're not in love with Minshew. Jackson, I mean, the fans might be in love with Minshew.
Right, Steph?
Nobody in Jacksonville.
You hear me?
What about the Patriots? Do you think they draft a quarterback? And if they do, where? Where do you see them?
I hope they do draft a quarterback. I hope they don't do it before the 3rd round. I think you maybe think about Fromm in the 3rd round. I don't think you draft a quarterback in the 1st round.
What about, say, Ethan, would you be cool with like maybe drafting Hurts in the 2nd round?
We don't have a 2nd rounder.
Oh, you don't? Okay. So they'd have to potentially then move into the 2nd round just to take Hurts there. Do you think that's even on their radar, or do they wait for Andy Dalton? I mean, it's a million options.
I don't think so.
That's why this is so fantastic.
And I think all these quarterbacks are going to be gone in the 2nd round. I think everybody who's going to be looking for him is going to take one come 2nd round. You're looking at Indianapolis. They're going to be looking to take one, whether it's Eason, whether it's Fromm, whether it's Hurts, right there. I mean, yeah, they got Jacoby Brissett and they got Rivers, but both of those guys are on one-year deals, and they're not going to be there very long. They already made that clear with Brissett, or they wouldn't have went out and got Rivers.
I think there's a situation here with these quarterbacks where Oregon's quarterback, Justin Herbert, there's a scenario where he's still available in like the 20s, pick. So late 1st round, or even falls into the beginning of the 2nd round. I mean, what are one of you guys probably has this in front of you. What are the first 5 picks in the 2nd round? I think the Lions they pick 3rd in the 2nd round.
I think it's Bengals. I think Colts are one of the top 5. Giants.
It's Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Detroit, the Giants, the Chargers.
Yep.
That could be the sweet spot for the Chargers to take a quarterback if they do decide to go offensive tackle early. That would be the San Diego, LA's 2nd round pick is actually their 3rd overall selection, correct?
San
Say that
Diego.
again?
Yeah. Because they have 2 1st round picks, correct?
Chargers, they only have 1.
Chargers
They
have
only
one
want
pick in the 1st round.
Okay. So then maybe that isn't crazy that they do offensive tackle in the 1st round, and then they come back in the 2nd round with one of their quarterbacks. But the way Ben's talking, there's going to be really no, I don't want to say good quarterbacks, but all the quarterbacks that are worth a damn will be gone in the 1st round.
So here's the monkey
early
wrench.
trade up too and back into the 1st round with that early 2nd. I mean, teams like Seattle, notorious for trading back. Niners at 31, they don't have a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round pick. They would be glad to trade back. Chiefs could trade back. So there's definitely a scenario to get that 5th-year option where if the Chargers do go tackle at 6 and they want to trade back up to get an Eason or a Hurts late 1st round, that's something they could look into.
Yeah,
Who do the Colts have?
Eason.
Who do the Colts have behind Brissett and Rivers? Is it still Hoyer?
No, Warriors now in New England.
Yeah, Hoyer went back to New England, Ethan. So you're stuck with him.
Yeah, right.
They like him there.
He knows the playbook.
Here's the monkey wrench, right? The monkey wrench in the draft is we have no idea what's going to happen as far as how far this COVID-19 thing is going to go. And I heard an interview today with Bruce Arians, and he said that when he lays out his calendar for the year with rookie minicamp, and then going into training camp, he installs their offense twice. So when they go to training camp, it's the 3rd time that they're going to install their offense. So you're going to take all that off the table. So now you've got rookies coming in for a lot of these teams, and a lot of them are in skilled spots. So the expectation for these guys to play in a lot of these spots, corners, quarterbacks, who are the plug and play guys, right? Who are the plug and play guys? Offensive tackle is, I mean, there's going to be a run on them, but there's only a few guys that are smart enough or have played in a system where they're a plug and play offensive tackle, right? The one thing that's curious to me is the one position that you can plug and play is running back. And we talked about it a little bit last night, and we didn't have any running backs. I think one of us, do we have one running back, the last pick? Or was
Swift,
it the
yes.
30th pick? Swift, right?
Swift
Correct.
Baltimore, yeah.
The interesting thing to me is there a point when you get to 20 where you start looking, maybe even 16, 17, 18, where you start looking at these running backs and we possibly see a run on running backs with some of these teams that are looking or need an impact player to come in where it's plug and play situation? I mean, look, 26 trap, 26 power, 22 lead, 28 toss. These kids have run these plays their entire life. Like, it doesn't change whatever level you're going to. It's a plug and play position. And you can go down the list of running backs, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, on and on and on, of guys who have made a huge impact in their rookie year at the running back position. The other position is wide receiver. Last year, look at all the plug and play wide receivers we had, right? So this is the interesting thing to me, because there's a lot of positions. Take a look at defensive back. That's not a plug and play position. And if you're not Bill Belichick, who's been the only guy in the NFL over the last who knows how long that's run specific defensive packages out there, where you can take a corner and say, okay, this guy's a really good man corner, but he's not a very good zone corner, or this guy's a really good zone corner and a terrible man corner, and run a corner out there in spots. Does that decrease the value of these guys? Does it put increased value on the running back position that nobody's really talking about right now?
I mean, for me personally, I don't have any running backs in my first round. I mean, that's naive to think that one won't happen. I'm sure at least one, maybe two will happen. I just don't have it happening in my scenarios here. I just feel like it's a good running back class, but there's not that Barkley or, Gurley when he came out. There's no big name like that. Swift is very talented. I think if Miami doesn't do a trade, they have an early second round pick, their chances of getting a Swift or a Taylor or Dobbins or, whoever they're targeting early second is going to be there. And then you're still hitting all your other needs with your 3 picks in the first round. Same with Tampa Bay. They have fairly early, I think early 40s to get a running back as well. I mean, I feel like they're definitely plug and play type position and players, but I think the other needs and talent outweigh what you can get in a running back. And you wait till the second round.
Yo, Steph.
Yo, what up?
You got it worked out.
Yeah, I was trying to figure this shit out for a while, bro. My computer has dust all over. I haven't touched it in months since all the damn sports have been out.
You haven't touched your beard in a month either.
I haven't done nothing, bro. I'd much rather be doing YouTube videos than fucking what I've been doing around my damn house. That's for sure.
I'm with you. That's I call it hashtag RonaDudes.
Fuck, bro. I'm like now I'm trying to listen to you guys and get caught up on NFL. I mean, honestly, do you guys really think the NFL season's going to start?
I think so.
I'm hopeful.
Sorry, I'm kind of like out of nowhere. I'm just like, I'm getting back in the loop, and I'm like, because I think NBA is going to be done. MLB, I don't know. I don't know if they'll start halfway through the season. NFL is going to be tough.
Here's my thing, if it counts. So all these southern states, no offense to you, Ben, like the governor of Georgia, he's reopening everything soon, right, isn't he? Like at the end of the weekend, right? And tomorrow. Yeah. So Georgia's going to open back up. I can see all the other southern states, Louisiana, Mississippi, and we're going to see another huge spike in this thing. And we're going to be stuck back in home. Right. I know Ohio, I think it was Ohio and a couple other states in the Midwest, they're implementing the stay-at-home order until the end of May. So it just keeps getting pushed. It's so odd to me that some states are pushing it back, yet some states are opening willy-nilly right now. There's no happy medium. And then if we start getting into the political talk, then Jeremy's going to have us by the short hairs.
Oh yeah,
I'm just going to say this. I think that the interesting thing that came out today was that New York says 25% of their population has antibodies to the virus. That's based on some model that they generated, right? I think that's low. I think that's low. And the reason I think that's low is I'm 99.9% sure that I had it, and my entire circle of family and friends that I hang out with on a daily basis have all been exposed to it and have all had it too. If there was an antibody test, I would love to take it. I've never been that sick of you guys, Steph, you and Chris know, I mean, I've never been. My fiance tells me, she thinks it's funny now, but she's like, God, is this how you're going to be every single time you're sick? Because, I mean, I was asking to go to the ER. Like, I think I should go to the ER, man. I'm sick. So my point being, I think there's a lot of people that have had it, and the symptoms are a broad range. I mean, not every person that gets it's obviously going to end up in the hospital. But I think that the most important thing that's going to dictate whether sports come back are antibody testing. I think that if they get the antibody test rolled out, I think that that's gonna be a big factor in bringing things back, because I think there's a lot of people that have been exposed to it, and there's a lot of people that have already had it, and I think there's people that have had it and don't even know that they had it. I mean, you look in California, you're starting to see differences of opinions between the mayors and the governor, where they're doing autopsies on people that passed away in February and they had the virus. Like they didn't know they died of the virus at the time, but they died with the virus. So well, I think we're going to play. I think we're going to NFL. I think is definitely going to be a go, but NBA, I don't like what I heard today with Chris Paul being where he is with the players union, saying that if they want to come back, that the players need 4 weeks. That just,
yeah, they got to get back into regular form. Joe, okay, so I have a quick question for you. So, I mean, you're a high school football coach. So what have you been hearing about your upcoming season? I mean, I coach basketball, but I was talking to the football coach, and he was telling me that, they're talking about canceling this whole season this year for football at our school. So I don't know what's going on out there with you.
Maybe somebody at your administration got the link and they could watch this, but I think you guys as high school football coach is a joke. But no, what we've heard, and they're planning. So what we've heard is, and I get emails, we get email. Had a lot of contact. So what I've heard is that July 1st is the date that we're going to be able to go back. Everything was canceled. And look, we knew everything was canceled before they canceled school through June 30th. Like everything in California got canceled through June 30th right away. So they've even said that they've tentatively scheduled graduation for the seniors for July 31st. So to me, I've been targeting August. I think August is when you're going to see a lot of things come back, and that would mean that the NFL would kick off pretty close to normal. The only thing that's going to be missing, which I think is the most intriguing part of this draft that hasn't been talked about, is the plug and play spots. Because if you're going to take rookie mini camp away, you're going to take the training camps away, and all you've got August. You've got 2 weeks, and then you're going to go into preseason games. So maybe the NFL, if it is August, maybe the NFL pushes it back a couple of weeks, the season, so that they can get maybe a month of training camp or OTAs or something like that. But I think NFL plays. I think there's enough stuff in place now for this virus testing, roll out the antibody testing. They monitor players. When they go to training camp, they pretty much are on quarantine anyways, right? I mean, these guys go off to a training camp somewhere, they pretty much quarantine them anyway. So, you do the temperature checks, you do all these things. Are there going to be fans? No, I don't think we're going to see fans in stadiums until maybe the Super Bowl.
So I have a question.
Crazy.
Who's going to be the first pick?
No, you got to come up with a better question than that, man.
I'm telling you, bro, I have not.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow guaranteed?
I would put it at 100%.
Yeah.
100%?
I got a question for the draft gurus, Ben and David. How do you think the Las Vegas Raiders, because they have 2 first-round picks still from the Khalil Mack trade. So what do you think? Who do you think they take in their first round to really finalize this Khalil Mack trade and get everything that they thought they could get?
I mean, for mine, I have them getting Lamb or some kind of receiver with the first one. And then with their second pick, right now I have them taking a corner. I know a linebacker is in play. And then there was rumors last night that they were trying to trade the 19th pick with Jacksonville to get that defensive end. Jacksonville was trying to get their 12th pick. So that's still something that could happen during the draft. But I definitely think they're going to hit wide receiver early and then something defense second round or the second pick.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with I agree with one, and then I've got I would say they either get Kenneth Murray with 19. I think that would solidify the Khalil Mack deal. I think that you take a premier linebacker like that to solidify your defense, and you can say to your fan base, yes, look what we returned, especially if you grab Lamb or Judy or Ruggs, right? You got a premier wide receiver as a playmaker, and then you plug in and solidify a captain of that defense, the middle linebacker spot. I think that you move on and say, we did really well with the Khalil Mack trade. We won.
Yeah, I agree. How
who do you have in your mock, Ben?
CJ Henderson going to him at 12.
Okay.
And then at pick 19, pick 19 because of everything I was seeing. I don't know if it was smoke, what it was, but I'm actually buying into CeeDee Lamb falling through the draft. I've actually got them taking CeeDee Lamb at pick 19.
Wow.
Okay, so a stud cornerback and a stud wide receiver.
I mean, if that happens, they'd be getting an A+ in my book right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I have another. Sorry, these questions are popping up on my computer as I'm talking. So sorry weren't able to go over this ahead of time, but just on the fly. So as far as the Jets are concerned, they're 11th overall as it stands now, right, guys?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
do you think they get offensive line help, or do they go offensive playmaker with that pick?
They can definitely go either way. It seems like they want to address the O-line from what rumors I've heard, but I still wouldn't be shocked if they don't take one of those receivers either.
I personally think they got to go receiver. They signed two offensive linemen early in free agency. Talked about it last night. I think they got to look at a receiver or someone to help on that offense. You don't have Sam Darnold back there, not throwing to anybody. I mean, Crowder's good. Perryman's good, but neither one of those are true number one receivers. I think they try to go out and they get someone like Jerry Jeudy, like I had him going in my draft.
I see Jeremy, you're shaking your head. You have a.
I can say.
What's your pick?
I mean, until Ben said that, the way he just put it. I mean, here's the thing. Steph and I are on the West Coast, right? And we watch the Pac-12, right? It's not 11 o'clock at night when these games come on. Sam Darnold's a legit quarterback. I mean, the dude's legit.
I agree. Yeah.
You have to protect your investment at some point. You have to make a commitment to protect. You can't let this kid get battered around and be David Carr, because that's what it's going to be. I mean, you've got to do something to protect that investment. But the Jets have been known to screw things up too.
I'm saying a little throw in there on it is a deep wide receiver class. So I mean, maybe that early second round they can look at like a Chenault from Colorado. I have Ayuk still available. Someone like that. T. Higgins could be right there as well. So I mean, it is a deep wide receiver class that they could definitely maybe wait for second round, shore up that offensive line, like you're saying, protect Darnold. But yeah, I mean, anything's possible at this point.
Well, earlier mock draft that I put out. Sorry, Chris. In an earlier mock draft that I put out, I actually have the Jets in the second round taking Jonah Jackson. So they're going to get some help at some point, the first couple rounds. I just think the wide receivers are deep, but they're not Judy and Ruggs and CeeDee Lamb deep. There's a step off. They're good. They're just not Judy or Ruggs.
And Steph, to answer your question, just solidify this a little bit. I just saw a tweet come across from Schefter that verified that Mike Brown sent number 9 Bengals jerseys to Joe Burrow and his entire family. So that would pretty much guarantee the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
true.
Pretty much right there. Boom. Move on.
Hopefully, and just to tout Chris a little bit and racing dudes, hopefully there's more than 9.5 people wearing number 9 jerseys, and that's an easy prop bet that's off the table in the first.
It's funny you mentioned. It's funny you mentioned that, because my first thought was a prop bet, and it was, what are the chances that with everything on Skype and the technical difficulties, what are the chances that a guy puts on the wrong team hat when he's drafted? What if the Bengals would they trade up? Burrow's wearing a Bengals jersey and he's drafted by Miami number 1 overall. How insane yet awesome would that
would be great.
It would be great.
That would make
He's
for
got
good TV.
he's got a Bengals hat on and a Miami jersey on, and everybody's just freaking out, confused.
So apparently, not only do they send these guys video equipment, but they also send them 32 hats.
Oh, so they send every hat in the.
They
okay.
sent them 32 hats. And then
That's a little more than 10 people.
I'm listening to this on the radio, and these guys are like, they're older white guys, ex-general managers, right? Like, well, what are these guys going to do with the other 31 hats? They're going to give them to charity? I'm like, these dudes they're going to buy a pair of Jordans to go with every single one of those hats is what they're going to do. You just gave them 32 hats.
Oh, Jesus.
So let me ask you guys a question now that we're talking about Joe Burrow a little bit.
Sure.
How good do you actually think Joe Burrow is? And I'm asking because I actually have an opinion on him.
Real deal.
Okay.
Real deal.
I agree with you too. In some cases, these kids are, when they play in college, they're not, I'm not disparaging college athletes at all. It's just, we know that the NFL is a different breed. Every guy in the NFL is a stone cold stud. You know what I mean? So you get a guy like Joe Burrow in college and he goes to the NFL. You're like, well, he's really not that good. He didn't play against the greatest competition. Well, that might be true, but look what he did. He's throwing 6-7 touchdowns a game. He's going nuts. Won the national championship. I believe, I know national championships isn't a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the benchmark for if you're going to be good in the NFL or not. But I think he's the real deal, and he's very exciting to watch.
Yeah,
Joe
I think
Burrow
he's
is
legit.
not just a good college quarterback. It's been every level. He threw for 11,400 yards in high school. He ran for 2,200 yards in high school. He won a state championship in high school. And Ohio, their private school football it rivals California. It rivals Florida. Ohio
legit schools.
Ohio private school football is legit competition. So this kid's been a legit quarterback. And look, you're getting a kid who he didn't just start as a senior year in high school. I mean, this guy's a 3-year high school starter. You move on to college. The guy's a national champion at the college level. He's the real deal, man, to me. And in order to do that at each level, you can't just be a guy that wakes up and goes to practice and just plays games. You got to be a guy that puts the work in.
Okay. The reason I ask is because I've been looking over a lot of Joe Burrow stuff, and 2 years ago, he threw 15 touchdowns for LSU. Granted, LSU's offense was a joke 2 years ago. But Joe Burrow is almost 24 years old. That's 1 year younger than Deshaun Watson, who's been in the league 2 years. 2 years younger than Patrick Mahomes. That's 2 years older than Lamar Jackson. So you've got almost a 24-year-old quarterback who his level of smartness, or however you want to call it, is that much more. His quarterback IQ is that much more. Now, it took until Joe Brady to get to LSU for him to go from 15 touchdowns to 60 touchdowns. And he got beat out in Ohio State, which forced him to transfer.
But
which makes me wonder, how good is he?
Did he get beat out?
How good is Joe Burrow?
Did he get beat out at Ohio State because of skill? Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's not been an Ohio State quarterback that has the skill level from a passing standpoint that Joe Burrow has. But from a scheme standpoint, Joe Burrow doesn't fit the zone read scheme that they run at Ohio State. He doesn't fit that one bit. He's not that athletic. He's a pocket passer. So does Joe Burrow see the writing on the wall and that's why he gets out? Is it like, hey, I'm from Southeast Ohio. Ohio State's where I always wanted to play football. I commit to Ohio State. I get to Ohio State. There's 15 quarterbacks here. 10 of them know how to run. They come from a zone read system. I'm a passer. I got to get out of here. And then you get to LSU. And like you said, LSU, part of the reason why LSU makes the hire they make at head coach is because there wanted to be a transition in the way they played offensive football, right? They wanted to modernize their offense and not be a team that just was a 2 tight end or a 21 personnel type team. They wanted to open it up and compete, play a wide open style of football. Am I off base with that, or you think that may be why he's beat out at Ohio State?
I think
And his first year at LSU too, he got there late, so he missed all the summer camps and the spring ball and stuff. So I mean, when he got there, he got kind of thrown into that offense as well. Didn't have the relationships built with some of those receivers and stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of factors that definitely play in. But I agree with Jeremy. There's so much talent there at the quarterback at Ohio State. I don't necessarily think he was beat out, but I think it was more the system, and then he was given his chance. You've seen him progress and grow and then develop.
so. You would take Dwayne Haskins over Joe Burrow.
Okay, so
I mean,
to
I'm
answer your
high on
question
That's
on
basically
that,
why he left, was because of Haskins.
but to answer your question on that, I would give you this. The only reason I'm not sold on all of the New England talk with Love is what type of system did Love come out of in college? I'm also not sold on, there's rumors, if you want to talk about free agency rumors, has there not been rumors about Cam Newton, the dream thing of him going to New England, right? Bill Belichick is the definition of he will find players. So you have two approaches. It's either I'm going to design my system around the talent I have, or I'm going to go get talent to fit my system. There's two completely different methods, right? The successful organizations, be it high school, college, or NFL, they find players to fit their system. They do a very good job at identifying talent, and this guy can do this for me. And Oregon's a great example with Chip Kelly and the success they had, right? Alabama's a great example. They've maintained a pro system, and they've gone and got talent, and it's transferred into the draft. So to answer that question, what kind of offense am I running? If I'm running the zone read and I'm running what Urban Meyer was running when they were recruiting, I'm probably not going with Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow does not get – and just to take that a step further, if you're running the zone read from a schematical standpoint, you are not blocking the defensive end. You're not blocking him. The quarterback blocks him with the read. So you have to have a threat. The whole threat of the quarterback being able to read is what opens up the running lanes for the running back, because it freezes an unblocked player and gives you a 5-on-4 matchup in the box with your offensive line. So if I've got a quarterback that is a straight passer and that's not the offense, and I'm not going to redesign my system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I'm not going with Joe Burrow. I'm going with Dwayne Haskins. Now, if I'm going to throw the shit out of the ball and I'm going to be like, Mike Leach or what Texas Tech did, or some of those other schools, give me Joe Burrow, because it's the same reason why Cam Newton, in my opinion, hasn't been successful in the NFL, because he's not an accurate passer. Cam Newton is not an accurate passer. If you look at the throws that Cam Newton makes, Stephen A. Smith can get on here and debate left and right with me about his numbers. They set up easy throws for Cam Newton. They set up what's called the Texas route, where it's a little angle route with the running back. McCaffrey had like 50% of his catches last year on a Texas route. But when you ask Cam Newton to deliver the ball down the field on a 15-yard out, he can't do it consistently. So depending on the system, that's the quarterback I'm going to take. And that's why I think Joe Burrow is the real deal. I think that if you put him in the right – and that's with any player that's going to get taken tonight, right? We could talk about these guys till we're blue in the face, but all of these guys have got – the right system has to pick this player for this player, whoever is going to go tonight, to be successful.
I think it's great. I think it's great that you bring up the just the zone read system in general. I think that if the Chargers do end up taking Jordan Love, who's also kind of a pocket guy as Ben sees it happening, I think you're going to see the same thing. I don't think you're going to have to worry about Eckler getting a lot of handoffs in zone read situations. I think that argument holds true, and it's why you would expect different teams to take different styles of quarterback.
As it stands now, switching topics for a minute, as it stands now, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the talk of the NFL. Would you guys agree that I'm not way off base with that? How do you think that Tampa Bay handles the balance between helping Brady and the team win now compared to thinking for the future? How do you see their early round, or actually their entire draft class, play out this year down in Tampa?
So I'll throw my 2 cents
in.
out first and let these draft experts tell us what they think is going to happen. But to me, you make a statement, you take a tackle. tonight you draft a tackle, you make a statement, you protect Tom Brady. It's an investment in your future. It fits what they need to do offensively. We talked about Ronald Jones the other night. I think he can be a big impact player in this offensive scheme Tampa Bay's got going on. But to me, you make a statement, you take a tackle, you move on.
See, I agree on the tackle. That's what I have too. But I think, they definitely need to protect Brady with that offensive line. But I think they're going all in. I mean, you have, in theory, a 2-year window here with Brady. Why not get another ring? I mean, that's the whole point of playing football, is to get a ring. So I think they're not going to try to screw themselves on their future, but they're going to focus on right now. And protect Brady now with the tackle, second round. I know he says he wants a pass catching running back, whether he believes in Ronald Jones or not, or they go maybe after Clyde Edwards-Helaire or something early second. But I think they're going to surround him and try to win.
Hey, Pat's making it to the Super Bowl? We're not Pat's, Bucks.
No.
They got to get out of the South first.
Yeah. Personally, I have no clue.
I'll give you a better answer to that question when I see who Atlanta drafts tonight. I know Ben's gonna laugh at that, but if Atlanta does nothing tonight to help their defense, then I'm gonna take the Bucks to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, hey, because the offense is already there. And then if I'm not correct, just kind of remembering back kind of at the end of the last year, I want to say the last 8 games of the season or something, Tampa Bay's defense was really picking it up, and they're really starting to play well as well. So you got that defense that was really kind of starting to mesh with the same guys, plus all these added weapons on offense. I mean, it's gonna be dynamic for sure.
He still has to get Drew Brees.
It's an interesting point. It's an interesting point that you bring up their defense, because I think that if you don't go tackle, offensive tackle, then you go defensive tackle.
I agree.
If that run of 4 tackles happens in the first 10 picks, would anyone be surprised if Tampa Bay reaches for Ruiz?
Caesar?
Surprised.
Not at all.
I think they could maybe try to trade down a little bit to go for him, but I can see it.
I'm more surprised that nobody's I mean, I think we talked about it last night. I'm trying to figure out, is there something out there that I'm not seeing? Because I think the kid's first round talent.
So I have him currently at 25 to the Vikings in mind. So I definitely agree. A lot of the times I was having him to the Chiefs earlier mocks and stuff, but I see him going that late first round.
He's definitely first round talent, but you look, he gets stuffed down, and it's watered down because of all the stud wide receivers and all this other stud offensive linemen just stuffing him down. And who wants to, especially a Tampa Bay team, they're looking to, make a splash. Drafting a center isn't look at us, you know what I mean? It's just, that's what stinks about it. Everybody just wants running backs and wide receivers, but to the people like the diehards like us, we know how important those offensive and interior linemen are. We talked about
that
this.
That would be a Belichick move, would be to take a Cesar Ruiz at pick 14, or a Brady move, whichever you want to call it.
There's an interesting tweet, and there's an interesting quote that's been tweeted a lot in the last hour, and there's a scenario that when we started this video played out with Tua taking a drop. And I'm going to read you this quote from Nick Saban, and you tell me if this sounds like damage control. I just hope teams don't make the same mistake with Tua like we did in Miami with Drew Brees. Look what he's done since then.
He's trying to sell hard.
He is. But I think at the same time, he is right, because he was in Miami at that time, and I think he's trying to throw that out there as definitely a sell, but as a, hey, you could be missing out on a left-handed Drew Brees with this guy, and a team that has not been successful at quarterback in how long. You could, again, miss your great opportunity for a top-end talent if healthy.
Yeah, how bad can your luck be at that position, though? I mean, look, you draft Ryan Tannehill, right? The guy plays wide receiver at Texas A&M, and then he moves to the quarterback position. You get a correlation between who they hired at the head coach an offensive coordinator and the correlation to Tannehill, and they take Tannehill, and it's like, look, this kid's going to be a good NFL quarterback. You move on from Tannehill, and he goes to the AFC Championship game.
Now, in all fairness to Tannehill, though, he did take them to the playoffs one year, and he got killed every other year after that because he just couldn't – they didn't have no one to protect him or they didn't give him any weapons. It's the same problem Dan Marino had in the 80s and 90s.
So we're getting close here. We're about 33 minutes away from the draft kicking off. It's been fun. Let's kind of bring this thing to a pretty ending. Is there anything that we need to go over or hit that you guys didn't get out there that you want to?
I was actually going to ask you guys, what do you think about because there's some rumors floating around in the Atlanta world right now about Atlanta possibly trading Calvin Ridley to jump into that top 5 with the Giants. It's been floated out there pretty much all morning.
For Simmons or for Brown?
They haven't said for who. They just said in the top 5 with the Giants. You would
So you're
assume it would
trade
be
Ridley?
one or the other.
Your dreams would come true, Ben, if Atlanta drafted Simmons, because I know you're big on him. But my question, or excuse me, my statement isn't even about the draft pick. Mine is about Calvin Ridley in general. If he leaves Atlanta out of Julio and Matt Ryan's shadow, is he that big of a commodity anywhere else? Because everything I've seen about him and the stuff I've written about him all are compared because Julio is on one side of the field, leaving Ridley to roam free. So if what I'm saying makes sense to you guys, is Ridley then a stud? Yeah, is he a number one elsewhere?
You're basically saying, is Ridley a Juju Smith? When Antonio Brown leaves, can he be the man? Basically what you're asking.
But Juju wasn't the man after AB left, though.
Right.
We saw that.
But that's exactly what you're asking about Ridley. Can he be that guy, or is he going to be like a Juju?
Sure, absolutely. I can get with that.
And the question is,
no.
can the Falcons sustain?
No.
Can the Falcons sustain themselves with only Juju or only Julio on one side of the field?
Well, the idea was they would come back with an early second or that 16th pick and take a wide receiver to replace Calvin Ridley. They get to jump in the top 5, take the guy they wanted, and they still have their second first.
So they're giving up
the top 5. They'd have to give up 16.
Yeah, because they're where in the second round they've got 47. So you've got to give me, if you're going to take my 5th pick, I need 16 and 47 and Ridley.
We don't know what Gettleman wants to do with that 4th pick.
Maybe I might take 78. You might be able to give me 78, but beyond that, it does nothing. Then you're at 119. 119 and beyond does nothing for me if I'm the Giants. I need maybe. You've got to keep 48 though. Or I'm sorry, 47. You've got to keep 47.
Because the idea was Atlanta's Dimitrioff and Quinn, this is their year they're going to have to do something. The idea was they would trade a first-round pick next year with Calvin Ridley to jump into that top 5.
Yeah, and then you keep your pick. Okay.
If they don't move and they were to take Kinlaw, if he were to get to the Falcons, would you be happy with that as a fan?
As long as we don't trade up, I wouldn't necessarily jump for joy, but they probably made the right move.
Is there any scenario that Simmons falls to 16?
No, absolutely not.
I think the furthest he would fall would be 12 to the Raiders, and then they would be in a tough spot between a wide receiver and Simmons because they need a linebacker really bad.
Simmons.
I think he goes right at 7 to Carolina.
It's going to be 7 or it's going to be 9. He's not getting past Jacksonville.
But
I got a different question off topic a little bit. You guys there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Ethan. So what do you feel about Brady leaving the Patriots, bro? I'm not trying to pick on you, but I seen all your Patriots gear, bro. So I had to hear what you had to say about it, bro.
Yeah, I got a lot of opinions. I think that they drafted Stidham to be the guy to replace Brady. it's the Patriots style to draft a quarterback late and see what you can do with him. I mean, look at Garoppolo and Brissett. They both got started on the fly. They both did well. I think Belichick wants to start with a rookie, train him up, and prove that it was Belichick that made the Patriots great and not Brady. So I think they stick with Stidham, maybe go with a late round quarterback in this year's draft and roll the dice and see what you can do with him.
So no Cam, huh? You don't want Cam?
Don't want Cam, don't want Dalton.
Got you. No, hey, I respect it. I just wanted your opinion on it.
I might be the only. I mean, it's not like we've ever talked backup NFL quarterbacks or starting quarterbacks for that fact, but I don't hate Andy Dalton. I think if he were to go to New England, I would definitely want him on my team, on like let's say on my fantasy team. But if he's doing well in fantasy, he's doing well in real life football. And maybe that's my problem. Sometimes I have a hard time disconnecting fantasy football and real life football. And I'm glad I'm here with you guys because you're able to help me figure it all out,
I've got the same
Dalton.
mind, Black. I think in fantasy stats more than anything.
Yeah.
So I just want to, before we get off, I want to play something out because of all the things we've talked about in the last 3 days, I think it may not happen, right? It may not happen, but the most likely of things that could happen is Ben's scenario that starts this draft off with the trade, right? Because I do think Detroit can get out of that spot and they can help their football team immensely and get additional picks. I think that Miami is not sold on Tua. I think we've seen the tweets from Nick Saban. We've seen the stuff that's been going around. The stuff they're putting out, is it a coincidence that today's the day they're saying he's been cleared for football activities? So let's just play that out really quick because you're talking about this Atlanta trade with maybe putting Ridley out there. Maybe that's legit. We know San Francisco has talked about moving the 13th pick. Right now, there's probably 3 teams that are going to that have the opportunity to really shake up the first round: Atlanta, San Francisco, and Miami, right? Miami would shake it up if they were to trade and take the guy the Chargers want out in front of everybody, which could open the door for the Chargers saying, look, we can get Love if we move back to, 18 or 19. The Raiders have 2 picks. Maybe they want to move up. But I think this scenario is probably one of the most likely that's going to happen. I love that you laid it out that way. So the reason I asked, is there a possibility Simmons could fall, is there's a lot of teams we're talking about needs here. And maybe he doesn't fall to, I've seen him today go anywhere in mock drafts from 6 to 12. So that kind of, when I'm combining your scenario and the news of, we know with San Francisco and we know that you're just breaking now to us with Atlanta, is there a way Atlanta stays pat and just smokes this up and San Francisco, the Raiders, and Miami do things to make some guys fall, which would cascade this draft down? Not necessarily saying Simmons is going to fall from, nobody's going to take him, but people that have needs may move up in front to get the guy they want because of what Miami could do by shaking the whole draft up and saying, we don't want Tua, we want Herbert.
Here's the question with that. Is there much on the table that suggests that Los Angeles is going to move up to 3 to take Herbert in front of Miami? Because if they don't do anything, then Miami just takes Herbert at 5 and they call it a day.
I think that would be so out of character for the Chargers, their organization. I just think that would be completely out of. They're so stubborn. I just think that would be complete. They don't have a reputation for being aggressive. So I think that would be a shock. Is there a chance that what you're saying is that they're laying dead at the bottom of the ocean and they're going to make a move here in the next, 25 minutes, maybe, possibly, but I haven't seen anything that says they're moving up to get the guy they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
so what interest does Miami have?
I think it's peer pressure for San Diego or Los Angeles because the Chargers are moving into a brand new stadium. They have to compete with the Rams. They're basically the redheaded stepbrother. They got to make a move, and the best way to do that is to go out and get your quarterback. And if Miami thinks there's a glimpse of hope that they're going to take Herbert, and Miami doesn't like Tua, Miami's going to make that jump.
I have one final question for us to discuss, and then we'll get out of here and relax and eat our wings and pizza. It wouldn't be the 2020 draft if we weren't already looking ahead to 2021. Do any of you think that a team doesn't punt, but they use their early round draft capital and sell it off for 2021? And, for the likes of like Taylor, or Trevor. People are going to tank this draft in order to get position for next year. Because as you see, the Dolphins did that for this year. What do they have? 14 picks in 2020. So what team, if any, do you think are selling?
I'm going to tell you this. The worst thing that could have happened to Trevor Lawrence was the college football playoff. And when you saw that this kid was having a really hard time throwing a 10-yard out and his accuracy wasn't there against a team that has got a ton of draft picks on it, I think it really hurt this kid's draft stock. I think that he's got a lot to prove coming out. There's guys like Holton Ahlers out there that are going to get a lot of attention in 2021. Felipe Franks is another kid that comes to mind. But I don't know that you say, if I need a quarterback this year, I tank next year. What I would say is that you're a Detroit fan. You're in Detroit.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And to me, I've thought that this whole time, that 3 pick to me has been the linchpin in this entire draft, right?
I'm with you. Yeah, absolutely.
What's to say Detroit doesn't take Herbert? Why do they need a Kuda? They've got Stafford. Yes. How many years has Stafford got in his – how long in the tooth is he getting? Is Herbert a guy that can come in? You want to play him right away? We've talked about some of these other guys being put in situations where they don't have to come in and play right away. What's to say it's not Detroit that's saying we're going to take this kid that nobody else that we're not hearing about, but the NFL execs are hearing about? What's this? I mean, that maybe it's not the Chargers is my point. Because you're invested in Haskins in Washington. You're taking a defensive player. The first 2 picks to me, those are stone cold locks. But from 3 back, Detroit to me is the biggest linchpin in the whole thing.
I agree with you. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Ethan. I'll give you a minute when I'm done. The Lions sitting at 2, I believe, are without a doubt, that's the most important position in this draft so far. We know Burrow's going number 1. You'd be a dummy in Washington not to take Chase Young. So at 3, there's got to be, let's just count them out. How many teams want that 3rd pick because there's a guy they want, whether it's Tua or Herbert? So why can't the Lions either take Herbert, as you said, and hold him, let him play behind Stafford for a little bit, or trade him and get a king's ransom? The Detroit Lions, to me, in this draft, hold all the cards.
All of them.
Right? All of them. Seriously. Some of these teams
they're the first round pick. They're pick 1 in the first round. It's not the 1 or the 2 pick. Those are done. The first pick in the draft is the 3, in my opinion.
And teams, I believe, if Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, I have no faith in them, but if they're smart enough, they'll play it right down to the wire, because as we know, as fantasy football players, fantasy baseball players, the longer you wait, the more crazy the opponent gets with sending stuff. It might sound stupid and childish, so sending stuff, but it's legit. You know what I mean? And who's to say that Quinn won't call Jacksonville and go, hey, the Chargers sent me a sweet deal. If you can't beat that, it's just, who knows what's going to happen. All I know is that I'm in agreement with you that the Lions hold all the cards here, because there's numerous teams that want to go all in for a franchise quarterback. And as it stands now, 2020 NFL, you got to have a stud quarterback. Like it or not, people just want a stud quarterback. So the Lions, if I wasn't in Detroit and a Lions fan or not, I would still be thinking the same exact scenario.
Because there's no reason to take a Kuda. Like, there's no reason to take that player. I think we would all agree. You guys have done mock draft after mock draft after mock draft. You guys know the talent that's out there in the first, second round beyond, right?
Yes.
It's not, we've said it's a deep wide receiver class. It's a pretty deep running back class. The running back value we know is not going to go in the first round, most likely. It's interesting, but it's also it's a deep quarterback class. And Yes, the top 2 guys or top 3 guys in each one of these class, in each one, quarterback class, running back class, receiver class, are a step ahead of the other guys. But that second tier is deep. It's deep at 3 or 4 positions, if not 5. So you don't. I mean, if you're Detroit, you tell me you can't get the same talent out of the LSU kid.
That was the next thing I was going to say. So in the mocks David's written, Ben's written, all the mocks that I've read, they all have the Lions trading out of that pick to, let's say, 5, 6, 7, 8. And after they trade their 3rd overall pick, they're still drafting Okudah in whatever other pick they move back to. That goes to show you that he's not replaceable, but the value you can find elsewhere. Like if all the scenarios were Washington trading the 2nd pick overall to get Chase Young at 10th overall, what does that tell you about Chase Young? They're not doing it because he's a stone cold stud. So to me, I'm getting fired up. Whatever.
Let's do this, Chris. Let's do this. Let's bring everybody back in here on this, right? So let's say Detroit. Let's say they stay for practical purposes. They stay at 3. Okay, they stay at 3 and they draft somebody else, right? And nobody else in the first round makes a move up or down. Where does Okudah go if he's not drafted at 3?
I could see him going 7, 9.
So you think 7 to Carolina or 9 to Jacksonville? That's as far as he would fall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think Cleveland I don't think Cleveland at 10, the Jets at 11, Vegas at 12. I think Frisco's going to take him at 13. I think if he's not taken in that sweet spot between like 3 to 7, it's going to be crazy to watch.
So let's just go through this really quick. One last thing, okay? Cincinnati lock, Washington lock, Detroit unknown. The Giants have got to draft a lot of offensive linemen. I think everybody agrees with that, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Miami has to take a quarterback. Everybody agrees with that.
Yes.
The Chargers have to take a quarterback. Everybody agrees with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you're Carolina, you're on the clock. The guy you want is Simmons, but Okudah is there. So you pass on Simmons and take Okudah?
Still take Simmons.
I mean, corners are biggest need. They could also go D tackle or Simmons. I mean, they're kind of like how the Falcons are to me. They need a corner, they need a D tackle, and they need a linebacker. And all 3 are very enticing options. It's going to depend on what their board says.
Talk about a phone that's going to start to ring, right? Because Ethan says he still takes Simmons. Ben, who you taking at 7 with that scenario?
With that scenario, if I'm Carolina, did you say Derek Brown? If I'm Carolina, I'm taking Derek Brown.
You're taking Brown. So Okudah
I have
falls
Brown
to,
there.
So Okudah falls now to Arizona. Arizona's not taking Okudah.
No.
Mm-mm.
So now we've got Jacksonville on the clock, and we know. I mean, that's probably the likely spot, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so he falls to 9. Man, that would open up. You've got a lot of talent left over.
Absolutely. And then so it pushes everybody else down into that early 2nd round where the Lions are again, they're picking 3rd in the 2nd round. So a lot of dominoes to fall, a lot of wildness to happen. I'm super excited for this one.
Here's something I would like to point out real quick. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
You may be seeing a lot of teams this year punting on their 1st round picks and start piling up on the 2nd just because they didn't get the face-to-face interviews. They didn't get to go through their whole interview process this year like they have in the past. So they might punt towards looking more 2nd and 3rd rounders because they're going to get more value there. That way they can have a better chance of doing their whole interview process, go through everything they need in person, their physicals, everything they need going into next year rather than this year, because this year has just been a cluster.
You can't draft a dumb guy this year. You can't. You have no time. There's no time. You can't have a guy who's got to walk through all of it. You've got to have a guy who you can ship a playbook to, do some virtual meetings with. You can't have a dumb guy. And that face-to-face process, I agree. And that's what I was alluding to with plug and play players like running backs. Is there a scenario we see tonight where there's possibly a run on some running backs because we've seen the NFL move to a 2-back league? We've got a lot of guys in this draft that, David, like you said, there's not a Saquon or Ezekiel in this draft, but there are definitely some guys that would be great complementary backs to a lot of these teams that, Atlanta. What's Atlanta got? I mean, I know Atlanta needs defense, but I mean, Atlanta is the team that is interesting. If they don't move up, does Atlanta in the second round? Are they a team that tries to move into the first round to settle their defensive needs and then pick up a running back? So I think running back to me tonight is the most interesting position to watch because it's not been talked about. You can't pick a dumb guy. We know there's going to be a run on tackles. Detroit holds a linchpin to the whole thing. I'll let you guys say a little piece before we get out of here, but it's getting time to go watch this thing.
Go ahead, Ethan. You want the first word?
Yeah, let's do it. Like I said, or like David said, it's rare to get a lot of picks right in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those running backs goes in the teens, maybe.
So let's get – so I like that. That's how we'll end it. We'll go through everybody. Give me your bold prediction of the night, and then we'll get out of here. Go ahead, Ethan, since you had the floor.
Let's see. Bold prediction. I think the Lions stay at 3 and take Okudah. I don't think with all the phone ringing, I think they still stay at 3 and take Okudah.
Knock it out, Ben. What you got?
I think Atlanta finally is able to get through on Washington's phone, and they make a deal to bring home Chase Young.
That'd be huge.
Oof.
That would be huge. David, what do you got?
I'm going to go with – I definitely think Tua is going to be the second quarterback taken in this draft tonight.
Okay.
Steph, hit me with something, man.
Yo, well, hey, I really don't know too much about what's going on right now, but talking to you guys, it definitely made me a lot more intrigued watching this NFL draft tonight, and I have a lot more of a sense of kind of what's going on. I haven't really formally met most of you guys. I definitely want to get on some more videos together and be able to introduce myself a little bit more to you guys and kind of get to know you guys a little bit more. But I just want to say thank you guys very much for helping me and Jeremy out with everything that we're doing here. And we're looking forward to the future. Definitely going to be a bright one here for us at DFS Cheat Sheet, for sure.
You're on the clock, Chris.
The Lions trade away the third pick. They get the Charger. No, yeah, they're going to trade with the Chargers. So they get 6 overall. Then they get another late first rounder. They're going to grab Simmons and Grant Delpit, safety from LSU. I would be elated.
Check your phone because I'm sending you a bunch of middle finger emojis. I want Delpit to the Cowboys. That was my bold prediction. The Cowboys finally do something right. They take the safety that we've been needing for the last 10 years. But as Steph knows, you can see he's got the Cowboys man cave up. That's where he's coming to us live from. The Cowboys always screw up the draft. My bold prediction of the night, since you took mine with Delpit, I'm going to go way out on a limb and say that the Jerry Jones, Home Alone, sitting on his fluffy white leather couch, trades Dak Prescott to Miami for the 5th pick in the draft.
No way. Think so?
My mouth would drop if it happens.
That's the rumor, bro.
Bro,
That's the rumor.
If that happens, bro, I'm going to have to go jump in Bear Creek right around the corner for me, bro.
No, that's a win-win.
So
And then who does Dallas draft 5th overall? I mean, you could talk all night.
We need a quarterback. And who are we going to get our quarterback if we get rid of our fucking quarterback? I mean, that's what doesn't make sense to me.
Mr. Love.
Who?
They'll take Love.
Who's Love? I don't even know who Love is.
Utah State.
Utah State.
Jordan Love.
Jordan
Good.
Love.
Show him the 2018 tape so he can be happy, not the 2019.
All right, so Jordan Love, I'm gonna have to go YouTube that right now because you're talking about my team, and I'm gonna get a little emotional right now.
Hey, the reason I'm making that bold prediction is what Dallas needs to do is take Delpit. That's what the whole Dallas has needed to fill for a very long time. He should be sitting there ready for them to pick up at 17. But Jerry Jones is home alone. There's nobody to grab him. There's nobody to tell him not to do anything. And the Cowboys are notorious for screwing up the draft. So the rumors today are that they have been trying to trade with Miami for the 5th pick and send Dak Prescott to Miami. So we'll see. It's going to be a fun ride. I'm going to join Steph, and also I thank you guys so much for all the content you've worked very hard to produce for DFSCheatSheet.com leading up to the draft tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the content that as much as I had, enjoyed the videos we've put out. This is not it. We'll be full stream ahead. There may not be sports going on right now, but we'll be producing sports content.
So much to do after the draft. A lot of our articles that I've done, David and Ben have done, we're going to redo a lot of them now when we know where the rookies are going, fantasy, football, seasonal, dynasty stuff. It's just going, you thought before the draft was crazy. Wait till after the draft. It's going to be wild. I'm left alone. I'm left home alone like Jones. Let's go.
I'll just follow it up with that and say we will be back to break down the entire first round. I believe we're doing that tomorrow to break down the first round and critique all the Jerry Jones left home alone madness and whether Detroit does take and stay pat with number 3. All right, guys, it's been fun.
See ya.
Peace out.